Welcome, 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 welcome to Naked with Dr. Money. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, known as Dr. Money. I'm excited to be here for another week to share with you. You know, this is all about the thought leadership conversation. When we get together, our conversation is around mindset because mindset is so critical to everything that you do. I hope that you're having an outstanding Wednesday. I know I am. I feel like I've been on a buzz during what I'm calling chapter 24. I don't know if you just refer to it as chapter, or 2024. For me, somehow or another, this new framing of it as a chapter has given me the ability to kind of put a proper, I guess you say, context on the experience. Because guess what? If it is that the chapter ends up being what I want or not, it's just one chapter, because then we get to segue into the next chapters, right? Of course, that's the presumption that, you're blessed to go into the next chapter. But today, guys, I'm so excited because I have a good friend, business colleague, and like I like to say, my ride or die buddy here and there in terms of what we've been up to in the Vegas market. She's been my buddy to get in trouble with, although she won't claim that. We do innocent things. But Laure Mormontel is the principal in a real estate investment company, has been advisor around investments and asset management. Of course, that was how we were first introduced. Some of her investments, she was featured at a women's real estate conference. We then ended up hanging out at one of the spas and became fast friends after that. I was so happy to know that she lived in Vegas, especially when I relocated here. So it's been nice to have, that buddy to come home to. So I am going to have the usual conversation. We're going to talk about mindset. We're going to figure out if she believes her mindset is the result of her nature, how she was nurtured, or a little bit of both. She's going to talk about how her mindset has supported her motivations. And lastly, we're going to talk about how some of those mindset motivations manifested into outcomes. So without any further ado, join me in bringing on and communicating with my good friend, Laure. How you doing, lady?
My God, you cracked me up mentioning the spa where we spent that first, really quality time together. And so there I am naked again with Dr. Money.
Isn't it funny? We started it. We didn't even realize it, huh? We were getting naked before I even had the concept. Maybe that's why it stuck, because it was so funny when I was trying to name my blog. And, I came up with, 2, 3, 4 names, but naked was the one that seemed, so I ran it by Sterling. And he's like, I don't think we're doing naked though.
But yes, you did. Oh, that's funny.
And guess what? It was the right decision because it's been working for me ever since then. I'm looking forward. Last year, I teased everybody about I was threatening to do a 20-city tour. This year, I think the 20-city tour has expanded to 30 cities, and it's going to happen. I'll be telling people more about that. But yes, Naked with Dr. Money is going to be coming to a town near you. But anyway.
It's in a town near me every day. I love it.
Absolutely. So how you doing? How you feeling? How's the year?
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Can't wait to see what 2024 is going to bring and what we're going to manifest, knowing everything that we've learned recently and all of the new ways we have found to be more open to what the universe has to offer. And I would say a big part of it is getting out of your own way.
Ooh, that is a perfect, perfect, perfect segue into our conversation. So let's go. All right. So here we go. So that's mindset, right? So I want you to think about one, do you believe your mindset is the result of how you were nurtured,
Mhm.
your natural nature, or a little bit of both? So that's part one. And part two is, when do you believe you first recognized that you had a particular mindset?
So I would say It's definitely both nature and nurture. Uh, I would say I was very lucky that I grew up. Mostly my grandparents raised me. My mother was just on the other side of the yard in her house, but I was always hanging out with my grandparents since my sister was taking a lot of attention from my mom, and my grandparents were happy to have me. So um and grandma was actually really really awesome. She would always ask me questions, but she would never smack me down. She would never say, "That's a stupid idea you have." I mean, I remember back when I was 17, 18, I had a boyfriend, and one day he had this idea of, let's buy trouts, live trouts, put them in a huge, like bathtub ish type of thing, and let's sell them on the parking lot of the supermarket. Because his father was a fishmonger at some point of his career, and there was money to be made in providing people with fresh fish, because it would have been something unique. And instead of buying dead fish from the fish stall inside the supermarket. And she didn't really shoot me down on this idea. She was just asking me questions to make me realize that was kind of a dumb idea. Wasn't that dumb, but at least the way she always communicated with me, she never made any negative statement like, "Oh, you're too dumb, you're stupid, why did you do that, you're stupid," so I was really lucky that I hate that I have this light from the from the shutters right in front of me. I have like this white light. You see that?
I see it. I don't
All
know
right.
why
I
it's
hope,
moving.
I just don't want it to bother people. Okay, there we go. And so it was definitely nurture, in the sense that I didn't have any negative mindset people around me. Um, so that was that. Nature, I would definitely say that nature is a little bit of it, but really your nature ends up being influenced by nurture.
I
And
think
if nature gives you the wrong set of cards, you can reshuffle that deck of cards in your favor. You know.
so.
So
How early do you think you can do that? Because they say a lot of our sort of beliefs are really formed almost before we have full verbal communication skills, just by what we're observing as, new little humans forming.
yeah, well, if you look at my LinkedIn bio, it just says a few words about me, and one of them is survivor. 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I got T-boned at an intersection, and the car was literally mangled, and everybody says that I should have been dead. But
Wow.
apparently, hey, here I am. So, see, I didn't make it to my next chapter, like you said. And so the body, whatever, 7 fractures, you name it. But the most important part was an undiagnosed brain injury,
Mm.
traumatic brain injury. It didn't show on the scan because 99% of all of the traumatic brain injuries, you don't see them on the scan unless there is a bleeding.
Mm.
But you can give yourself a concussion or a traumatic brain injury just by picking up the dog's toy under the coffee table,
Mhm.
and then your brain hits your skull, and then it bruises. And for kids, especially when they're young and they play around or play suckers for girls, because they want to have fun, and they use the ball, they bounce the ball on their heads. That's really bad. But your brain health really influences your mindset.
Mhm.
you know if your brain is sick, your mindset is going to be sick. And so for me, I was already into biohacking about a year before this accident happened. So I learned about the effects of inflammation in your body, and especially in your brain. But I really didn't know about concussions and traumatic brain injuries. And so it's only maybe six months into my concussion that I heard from Dave Asprey a story about him being hit in the head at Burning Man and how he asked all of his friends to give him all of the fish oil they had in their campers. And that I'm like, yeah, scratch my head a bit. And then the universe delivered literally onto my iPad a newsletter from Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Work Week guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously I've been a lot into personal development since 2008, 2009. And so we're going back to answering your question shortly. And so when that email from Tim Ferriss popped up, he said, what I'm reading right now is a book about concussions when it's called When Brains Collide by Dr. Michael D. Lewis. And it's about concussions and how to fix them simply. And I'm like, oh my God, this is for me. So I read the book cover to cover. And to give you the cliff note, you need to take a lot of good quality fish oil to give your brain the elements that it needs in order to heal itself, which is the EPA and DHA, it's called. And so I started doing that, and my short-term memory was a little shot, and then I started improving really fast. By the way, and I'm saying this because unfortunately it happens a lot to people, you can also help people get out of comas by using fish oil.
Excellent.
Directly into the stomach with ground up food. That way you give your body nutrients. How do you want to get out of a coma if all you're plugged to is salt water? There's nothing good in there. So anyway, just in case I'm saving one life and one brain today, it makes my day. And so anyway, so about the mindset part, people will go through life without realizing the status of their mindset. And that's really sad. And if by total luck already in 2008, I hadn't discovered personal development, I wouldn't even know that there is such thing as a mindset. I would just continue going through life the way I had been going through life. And so when your brain is unhealthy, your mindset is going to be terrible. So if you want to have a better mindset, make sure that you feed your brain right and you feed your body right. That's where it starts. Yesterday, again, I was recommending this book about how to help people who have Alzheimer to stop the progression of it or even reverse it. And it's called The End of Alzheimer by Dr. Bredesen. Well, you can spell it. Bredesen. The End of Alzheimer. It's on Amazon and everywhere else. But so, yeah, brain health, and then mindset, and then be aware of the quality of your thoughts and realize what the quality of your thoughts make you do. And especially, what are you thinking about when you're cleaning the dishes? When you're not actively involved in something, what is the things that you're ruminating when you're driving? All of these activities that don't really engage your brain, that's when you realize where your mindset is. If all you're thinking about is what a victim I am to the world, and that's how I actually have discovered more exciting people who really have helped me make this clear distinction in how people operate. Is most people in this life live in victim mode, right? Things happen to me. Oh my God, this happened to me. Oh, this guy did this to me. And it's about time to take responsibility as well and to take action against that, right?
Absolutely. So, that's actually a great kind of segue, which is why I kind of framed the conversation from mindset into motivations, because I do believe that your mindset informs how you are motivated to take action, how you are informed to process life and information. So much in what you said. I'm gonna try to pick highlights to respond to. So one, when I think about mindset and the personal development journey, I started on the personal development journey, I am proud to say, 40 years ago. The reason I became active in personal development 40 years ago was that I was an entrepreneur at a time that that wasn't exactly being encouraged, albeit I was a full-time college student at the same time, but I had tried to find part-time employment and it didn't fall in alignment with my skill sets. I was too advanced for my age to go and work in fast food, but I was in college and I wasn't willing to take a full-time job and not go to college. So it ended up being that I had to go into business. But with that, a lot of things required that I become confident, especially in environments where I ended up leading adults, in many cases, my parents' age or older, all of those different dynamics. But up to what you're saying right now, when you talk about people walking around with the mindset of being victims, I want to go back to that particular statement because it's like, I think there's so many sayings that we've heard over the years. Is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? So
Absolutely.
it's all about the same set of liquid in a glass, but it's about how you perceive that information. And so because you've lived not only in America, but in other countries, I'm curious if you notice a distinction not only between the perspective of the other countries that you've encountered, but also even the other communities. Because, I think you lived in Miami, you lived in some other different places. And so do you
Texas.
notice that
Yep.
this kind of victim perspective is what seems to be the like if you were breaking up your encounters and you say, out of every 100 people, 60% of them are X and, the rest are Y. What is it that you have seen and observed and experienced along your own journey?
Well, I would say most people definitely are in the victim bucket, unfortunately. All it takes is a conversation with your friends or the family members or people you meet at the grocery store. They will just go on, or in an Uber, they will go on forever about the negative things that happened to them and this happened to me and that, instead of, oh my God, what a blessing happened to me this, I got a 60 cents discount at Michael's. Yes, the lady made an effort for me. And actually, that's true story. But every day, I take my little notebook here and I write my positive confirmations that the universe loves me and that the universe is giving to me. And
Oh,
every little thing.
I
Yes.
love that. I love that because that really is the framework. So I've been doing A Course in Miracles now I'm on my 3rd year through A Course in Miracles. And I've had a long journey with to finally being able to go through the course. But I knew that I was going to go through the course. It was like, divine spirit told me this year you're going to finish it. And the reason you're going to finish it, that was, 2 years ago when I did it the first time, or 3 years ago now, when I went through the first time, it said, you're going to finish it because you're going to need to have this in your conversation. You're going to need to have adopted this on and know why, because you're now about to begin teaching all of what you've gained over the last 40 years of building and developing mindset. So not only from my experiences, but also from academic theories that I pursued so that I would understand the thought leadership around, what contributes, but more importantly, can you assist people if it is that their mindset is off base? Now, here's the thing that I find interesting is most people lack self-awareness. And so
Absolutely.
without feedback mechanisms, that's the thing that I think is problematic. And so many people don't even realize that they're replaying a recording of their past. They
Yep.
see you and they're not even taking you in because they're projecting, rehashing the recording, their story. They're not even listening. They're not even
They're ruminating the same old stuff on and on and on. And that's why just the self, like you said, the first step is self-awareness. Just realize, make a note, sit down and like, what was I thinking like 5 minutes ago when I was, raking the leaves in the garden? What was I thinking about? Or when that thought comes to you, every time you have a thought, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Is this thought supporting you towards having a positive future, or is it one that is actually dragging you down, going down negative past, or worrying about a future that has not even happened yet that you're seeing as negative? And that's what the little journal of positive confirmations here is. Is the more you are grateful for the good things that you have, the more positive things are going to happen to you. The more you like me, poor me, the more crap is going to come to you, because you're going to vibrate that negative energy and people are going to take advantage of you. They're going to see you come in like all down, and then, shoulders, like, the way you stand also just says how you're feeling. In the morning, just stand up straight and just stretch. Just that will help your brain go in a happy place rather than walking around like that. If you want to make a baby stop crying, make him look up like this, because on top of that they can't go like so that's the trick I learned. That's the only thing I'm good at. Besides that, I'm like, with the babies I'm really useless. But yeah, the it's a mix of everything. Your thoughts are something, but your body definitely takes your brain and your thoughts in different places.
That's why I think it's so important. So I did a year of landmark, and I did landmark at a critical time after I had finished my master's degree. And I remember when I went to grad school for my master's degree, I was real deliberate about, what I was going to do. And at that time, I was still early in my real estate development career. So, of course, everybody who thinks that they can advise you are like, oh, well, you should go and get an MRAD degree so that you're a specialist in real estate. And I'm like, I don't need to be a specialist in real estate, because I had a career before I was in real estate. And so what I'm interested in doing is being able to bring my entire experience together. And if I just go down the rabbit hole of real estate, although that is my personal passion, that's not globally given a full truth to who I am, in total, right? So when I went to grad school, I decided to pursue a master's in organizational management with an emphasis on leadership development. And the reason I was curious about leadership development was, again, when I was 19 now, after being in business for a year, then entering the corporate world, and then realizing that, no, I'm really more of an entrepreneur. So let me segue back into business. What I realized was that I was really curious about how a founder could create a business that could last hundreds of years. And at that time, the company that was resonated in my mind was IBM, Xerox, Procter and Gamble, those organizations that at that time were established, Fortune 500s, but they didn't begin that way, right? Every venture begins with its founders. So who are those original founders? And if it is you're building a sustainable organization, you hope that you can build a culture, that you can create commitment, that that business can be a great corporate citizen, and that it can continue to evolve as time changes and market opportunities and all of these other factors that influence business and people and all of those things. So I say that because what a lot of times people don't realize, because I had my own, if you will, living hypothesis, then I've been working to gain information to prove, could I create another organization that could last hundreds of years beyond my life, and one, create generational wealth for my family? But more importantly, if that is my intention, how must I go about doing it? So when I had the thought of my master's, and it was after I had been the CEO of the agency where I'd structured the JV, and 8 offices for the big business. Now this was an opportunity for me to invest in some of my own gaps. But here's the thing. The idea of being in those we had a part where we were going to overlap with the psychology students. And it was, for me, this idea of like nails on a chalkboard, because I knew they were so flat, like, psychology students, you need a psychiatrist. I'm like, no, most psychiatrists are seeking care for themselves, but they want to play with hurting you potentially instead of getting the help that they need for themselves. So learning the theories are not enough. You need to first get healed before you decide to step up and try to be a healer, or at least
Absolutely.
recognize that you need that part, right? You don't have to have mastered something completely, but you must understand that authentically.
Right. And we have this fun saying in French that goes, um, in the world of the blind, the one-eyed man is king type of deal. So kind of as long as you're aware more than the others and you know a little bit more, you can help them. You
Right.
know, it
Right.
doesn't take having like a lot of uh, degrees or specialties in anything. As long as you can help someone take the next step,
Yes.
you're moving the whole humanity forward. And
But
then
you have
someone
to
else
be
will help you take the next step.
but you have to be authentic to that, and that's kind of all
Oh
that
yes, of course.
that I was saying, because what was interesting, so I'm sharing, my journey of how then I was, triggered to then do A Course in Miracles, right? Because it was after Landmark that I had my course already, but I hadn't started it. And when I looked at the text, I said, dang, if Landmark had a textbook, A Course in Miracles would have to be one of those textbooks, because it seemed like the philosophy was so
Hmm.
simpler. But what I loved so much about Landmark, and what people say, oh my God, it's a code, and whatever.
I
And
know,
I
right?
was like, no, it's not. It's reframing a thought process. If you are going through life, seeing life through your lens because of your victimization, your trauma,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and you are not, one, aware that that is the lens that you're projecting, then you are making decisions. Your motivations are based on potentially faulty information. And that's really the gift of Landmark, because what Landmarks
Absolutely.
really helps people do is go, hey, yeah, something happened. But what happens next is all about your mindset. What did you make it mean? What did you believe because of that thing? And what if what you made it believe is not the total picture?
Right. Yeah. I didn't do Landmark, but I did a similar program. That just stick a different name on it. And yes, there is this one exercise where you're confronted with what people perceive of you. And oh my God, it's interesting. It's interesting. And I know I have friends who went through it as well. And I like to remind that to them, remember when they told you you were like so and so? You're kind of being this right now. And self-awareness is definitely the most important thing, so that you know what you need to change, because everybody has some goals in life and everybody
Should,
feels
should,
down sometimes,
should,
right?
should.
Should have.
Should, because I'm not sure. I think it's debatable. That's where we go back to that nature or nurture, because I notice, you just observe some people's tendencies. Like, I don't know. To me, it could be kind of what you're given as reinforcements, especially in the early years of how you're socialized. But it seems that when I think of some people's, and I don't know, I don't do the deep dive on the astrology or whatever, but I do notice certain commonalities under certain so-called astrological signs, that there seem to be common tendencies, right? So I am a Virgo, but I'm on the cusp of Leo. And then when I describe what sort of the Leo persona tends to be, business, outgoing, all of these things that seem to be, to me, evident in my profession. But then I
Right.
see my Virgo, great homemaker, kind of homebody, very, loving, nurturing, the safe space, the place where people, my friends, it doesn't matter
That's you
where I
too.
live, they're like, you are home. So wherever you are home, and it's like having that part too. But even having those two personas almost being in contrast, it impacted my dating life. It has always impacted my dating life, because it wasn't as if I could fluidly move between those two states. So when I think
Mm.
about that, and, kind of in this idea, it's just, are people aware? Are they really focused on their motivations and their possibilities? Because to me, if you are, then you would seek information to continue to grow. And I just can't say that I'm running across
Yes, but no.
that natural desire.
I hear what you're saying, but my take on this, my experience of this is, I remember when I first started personal development, they asked me, "What is your goal in life?" And I'm like, "I just want to be happy." And it's like, "No, that's not a good goal." And I'm like, "You know what? in the back of my mind, I'm like, who the bleep are you to tell me that's not a good goal? But you know what? The thing is, I did not know personal development existed until 2008 that I ran into it literally by chance. And you cannot look for something you don't know exists.
Sure, sure.
And
When
so
the
if you're
student is ready, the teacher arrives. That I say that all the time.
I would agree with that, but partly because, for example, the thing is, you may be ready, but your inner circle that will not let you get out of that circle. Like if you're on Instagram and you watch kitty videos, you'll see more of that. Even though inside you yearn to be happier and to fix, your emotional abuse from a past relationship or physical abuse or whatever, or cancer, you name it. But because you found that you love kitty videos, it's going to give you more of that, but it's never going to come at you with how to fix your personal trauma, because you don't look for it on the internet. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
something you repress. So whatever you repress and you don't express, you will never get help on. So be
Exactly.
aware of what's bugging you, share it a little bit. But one of my mentors taught me something that I found was really profound: is only share your goals or problems with people that you think are willing or able to support you with it. Like don't share it with your mother, who's a negative Nelly,
Sure.
because it's not going to take you anywhere except further down into this negativity. So be wary of your time and spend it well, and then share it with people who you think can help. So
This
that's it.
is true, because to me, that also comes down to what you're going to manifest, right? You're going to manifest what it is you're motivated to pursue. And what you're motivated to pursue is going to be what your mindset is suggesting to you. And so the only way to change your motivations and your manifestations is to own up to your mindset. But there's an outstanding book. We've come to the end of our show. I just want to share this book I've been going through. It's called The Myth of Normal. It's by Dr. Gabor Mate. It is a fascinating book. I am looking to, he will be one of the guests that we will invite at our resorts around the world, because this is the type of groundbreaking information, thought leadership around healing from trauma, which is why, I'm doing what I'm doing in the business. This is the whole reason. That's my whole inspiration, if you will, my founder journey for ZenoVerse Wellness Group, and why I wanted to launch wellness resorts. I wanted to go destinations, invite people to different locations where they can have both an experience where they can heal their mind, body, and soul. And I wanted to have a bench of not only, the thought leadership that I can offer of 40 years of stuff, man. If I'm going to have each of the resorts kind of stocked with all of my favorite books. I know some people don't want to hear that, because people that know the personal book movement journey, like namely my son, he's like, no, I thought we were going to get rid of the 500 book boxes. You're talking about now you're going to replicate though. like, like, please make sure somebody else is responsible for that. But
That's funny.
that being said, to know me is to know. If you don't know that about me, then I know you don't know me. But if you know me, you know that I come with books and then comfortable, great shoes. So books and shoes and technology. I'm the tech geek. So if there's a gadget or a tech something, I have those things. Anyway, we're probably going to have to do a part 2, because you and I, and here, listen, this is a challenge for you and I. I want us to make plans,
Mm-hmm.
do some of our little spa treks, and perhaps we'll add some updates on how we're getting naked around the world.
Oh my God, this is bad. I love it.
Working on our mind, body, and soul. Look, we're doing great work. We're working on our mind, body, and soul. And
Oh,
we're
yes.
other people, right? Don't you think?
Yes, absolutely. That sounds great. And you know what? You actually reminded me of something that I wanted to just say a word on, since you said about something about being naked. I wanted to talk about porn.
Ah,
I just
Well,
want
you
to see
mean
your face.
really being naked? Oh,
No, actually, what I'm talking about is fear porn,
oh.
because we were talking about mindset.
Mhm.
And if you turn on your TV and you watch the news, you will not get the news. All you will get, whatever channel you listen to, is fear porn. The
Mhm.
media is not here to inform you. The media is here to condition you.
Mhm.
And that's why you watch a program, right?
Mhm.
They're programming you to whatever it is they want you to believe. And right now what they want is to have you live in a world of fear, because if you control people by if people are in a fearful mode, you can control them easily. And that's
Absolutely.
why, to if you want to improve your mindset, if you don't remember anything else about this conversation, switch off the media. Do not do that, and your mindset will go like through the roof.
You are so right. I mean, that's people were teasing me over this last 3 years. Of course, I moved to Vegas, and someone asked me the other day something about Vegas, and I said, I'll be honest with you. I was blessed to be able to spend most of the 3 years in Jamaica, in London, other parts of the world. And the beautiful thing about that was that I did not have access to the normal US programming. And I said, you
Mhm.
don't realize the mind pollution that you are taking in based on what you're consuming, and the fact that you are aware of it, because it's like I'm like, I don't know how anybody could watch TV for more than an hour. Like if I try to watch the morning news, for example,
I can't.
the drugs, in 30 minutes you feel like you got every ailment that they've advertised, and then every 10 different consequences if you take. I'm like, why don't they just say the stuff is killing, go kill, it's like, like.
Absolutely. You know, the US and New Zealand are the only two countries in the world that allow drug companies to advertise on TV, because it's programming you. It's telling you when you get older, your memory is not that good. So you need to take that drug. When you get older, your joints will degrade. But you hear this like 25 times a day when you watch TV. Well, what is your brain hearing? When I get older, my brain degrades. When I get older, my joints degrade. When I get older, I have ulcerative colitis. I mean, they just push this crap onto you, and it's really unhealthy. So that's why if you watch TV, fast forward the commercials. The one thing that I repeat all day long at home is mute the commercials, mute the commercial. Everybody, it's like, oh.
Yeah,
um,
I
yeah.
kind of love that, because when I'm here locally, I have a home office as well. And so when I'm in my home office, what's so great is that it's not connected to any network. So all I'm
Beautiful.
able to listen to is select programs. So I'm listening to book on tape. I'm listening to, inspirational messages. I'm listening to things that can sow into my psyche consciously or subconsciously. I'm listening to my favorite music. I have different playlists for different purposes, because I want to dance and move. I want to feel that joy. I want to feel that excitement. But like I said before, I am going to stop. It's so much fun having you as a guest. We'll keep talking until we can't
Yes.
talk.
We do that all the time.
Exactly. But if anybody wanted to catch up, you think they should go to your LinkedIn to look you up and learn more about you?
Yes, it's easier. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, give me a connection request, send me a message there. If you email me, it's going to be lost in a bunch of junk. So I know at least that's where I can keep track of people I haven't met yet. So looking forward to meeting you guys.
Fantastic. And we are going to plan a part 2 where we can go a little bit deeper, because, the things that you mentioned today about recovering, for example, from a brain injury, and
Hmm.
also recognizing PTSD. I just wrote an article speaking to the fact that the pulse of the country, US in particular, the world, was that in 2023, it seemed to be a rise in people suffering from what appeared to be the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. But in this case, people who have never been to war. But because
Right.
of the traumatic experience of the global pandemic, they had the similar effects. And without having a knowing and understanding of that, then again, Are they getting the help for the healing? And that's really what I'm interested in and invested in. And that's why, with what I'm doing in the world with my companies, we plan to be one of those resources for that type of healing. But whether you come to us or not, there is becoming more and more solutions and alternatives if you put your intent up. And it's the same thing, like, when you go shop for a car, you don't notice that car until you go and look, and you go, suddenly you see all those cars on the street.
Yep.
Same thing with wellness options, is that there's a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of wellness options. Don't just fall prey to what you used to do yesterday, because that might not be the best for you today.
Yes, absolutely. I just read an article yesterday saying that antidepressants consumption in the U.S. went up again, and it's there are so many ways to get out of this. Better nutrition, better brain health, better thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
That's one thing. Meditation, cheap,
Yes.
anybody can do it, but can't make money out of that. So, well, at least now you know where I stand with all of that stuff.
Yes. All right. Fantastic. Well, Laure, thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. And then we're going to get we're making our Super Bowl party plans. Our
Yes,
party plans. We're going to
let's
get
get
that.
in trouble. Good trouble. We're always
Yes.
within the straight and narrow of the law.
Exactly. So anyway, say hello to who, and I will see you again real soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, Steph. Appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. All
Thank
right.
you, everyone, too. Bye-bye.
So again, guys, I thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Naked with Dr. Money. I hope you'll tune in. I hope you'll make this a regular date. I'd love to have you. I'd love you to give me any feedback. Tell me about some topics. And you too, if you're interested in being a guest, send me a message. Let's see what we want to, how we can schedule you so that we can continue our conversation. It's always going to be around mindset, motivations, and manifestations. And you see it can go in a bunch of different directions. But anyway, if it's Wednesday and if it's noon Pacific time, it's time for Naked with Dr. Money. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ardrey, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Be well.